All right, welcome to newsbite.tech, where we cut through all the noise to bring you the tech signals that actually matter. $599. Seriously, that's not a typo. That is the price tag on Apple's brand new MacBook Neo. And wow, it is a shot fired directly at the heart of the entire PC industry. So this is your tech roundup, and we've distilled all this from over 2,600 news articles in just the last 24 hours. On the docket today, we're tracking the rise of AI that can actually do things for you. We're looking at some geopolitical shockwaves that are rattling our supply chains, and, of course, how Apple might have just changed the whole game forever. Let's get right into it.
Okay, first up in our news bulletin, Apple is jumping into a whole new arena with a budget-friendly MacBook Neo. I mean, at this price, it is a direct assault on the Windows laptop market, a space they have owned for, well, decades.
Meanwhile, you've got Nvidia, and they are definitely not taking their foot off the gas. They just pulled the curtain back on Nemotron 3 Super, a massive 120 billion parameter model. And look, this isn't just about making AI smarter. It's about making AI that can do stuff, powering that next wave of agents that can actually act for us.
And then there's Meta. They're making this huge, two-pronged push. First, they snapped up Moltbook, which is basically a social network for these new AI agents. And at the same time, they announced they're building 4 of their own custom AI chips. So they're not just buying the software here, they're building the entire hardware foundation for it.
This next one's pretty wild. AI safety leader Anthropic is launching a new research institute. But here's the twist. They're doing this while fighting a blacklisting from the Pentagon. Talk about highlighting the tension between innovation and national security, right?
And speaking of tension, the ripples of geopolitics are hitting hard. A historic 400 million barrel emergency oil release just got triggered because of conflict in the Middle East. Now, this is supposed to stabilize the markets, the very markets our entire tech supply chain completely depends on.
And wouldn't you know it, that conflict is also going digital. A major cyber attack, which has been linked to Iranian groups, has just hit the U.S. medical firm Stryker. This puts a really critical part of our healthcare supply chain directly in the crosshairs.
Looking ahead a bit, Microsoft is already drawing lines in the sand for the next console war. They're planning to ship prototypes for their next-gen Xbox, codenamed Project Helix, out to developers in 2027. So yeah, we're already getting a little peek at the next decade of gaming.
But, of course, there's a dark side to all this progress. AI-powered scams are just exploding everywhere, which is forcing companies like Meta and WhatsApp to scramble and deploy new, sophisticated tools just to try and protect their users.
And hey, if you're thinking about building a PC anytime soon, you might want to brace yourself. Memory chip prices are shooting up like crazy, all thanks to that insane demand for AI hardware that's squeezing the entire supply chain.
And to wrap up the bulletin, the investment money, it is still flowing. The fire hose is wide open. AI startups Lovable and Nextop AI just closed some massive funding rounds, which really proves that investor confidence in AI's future is at an absolute fever pitch. Okay, so that investor fever brings us perfectly to the big shift we're seeing, agentic AI. You're probably hearing that term a lot, so what is it? Well, simply put, this is AI that doesn't just answer your questions. It actually does things. It can plan, it can execute, it can adapt. Think of it as the difference between a simple chatbot and a true digital colleague. And this whole shift is accelerating, fast. I mean, Nvidia's new Nemotron 3 Super, it's built exactly for this. And Meta, they're not just buying a company like Moltbook, they're building their own custom chips to run these agents at an incredible scale. This isn't just a race anymore, folks. It's a full-blown arms race for autonomous intelligence.
And this is where the tension just becomes impossible to ignore. You've got Anthropic, a company literally founded on AI safety, and they're locked in a fight with the Department of Defense. And yet, you have tech giants like Microsoft publicly supporting them. You see, this isn't just business anymore. This is a battle for control. It's about who gets to write the rules for our autonomous future. So why does any of this matter? Well, here's the bottom line. The AI race isn't about who has the smartest chatbot anymore. It's about who can deploy the most capable autonomous agents. This is going to completely redefine productivity for sure, but it's also forcing a huge confrontation between the people who make this stuff, the people who regulate it, and all of us who use it. A confrontation over safety and ultimately control.
Okay, let's talk about the market and the money. That $599 MacBook Neo is a complete bombshell. The clear winners here? Apple, obviously.
Nvidia, for sure. And all those AI startups that are just swimming in venture capital. And the losers? Well, traditional PC makers are now scrambling to figure out how to compete, and companies like Stryker are feeling the very real heat of digital warfare. And you know, this creates a really painful situation for PC makers. It's a paradox, right? The insane demand for AI is driving up the cost of the exact components they need to fight back against Apple's super aggressive new price. The amount of money pouring into this space is just staggering. I mean, Next Top AI just hit a $4.2 billion valuation. Nvidia is pumping $2 billion into an AI cloud operator called Nevius, and the startup Lovable? They're already pulling in $100 million in annual recurring revenue. Look, this isn't just venture capital anymore. This is the financial foundation of tomorrow's entire tech infrastructure being laid right now, today.
So, who really felt the impact from all of this? Well, for developers and startups, it's a huge positive. More tools, more funding, what's not to love? But for big companies and for consumers like us, it's kind of a mixed bag. Enterprises see these massive opportunities, but they're also grappling with brand new risks. We, the consumers, get cool, cheaper devices like the MacBook Neo, but then we face price hikes on other stuff and, of course, that surge in AI scams. Meanwhile, investors are loving it, while governments are basically just trying to keep their heads above water, struggling to regulate tech that's moving at light speed.
Okay, let's zoom out and look at the global chessboard for a second, because none of this is happening in a vacuum. In the US, you've got this explosion of AI investment, but it's clashing head-on with some major security threats. Over in China, there's an intense push to weave AI into all of their manufacturing. The Middle East has turned into an epicenter of geopolitical risk, and that's disrupting everything from energy to cybersecurity. And then you have India, which is playing this really complex game, becoming a key manufacturing hub for companies like Apple, even while it's dealing with its own energy shortages. And why does this geographic view matter so much right now? Because let's be real, the tech world is not flat anymore. Where you are physically located now has a direct impact on your supply chain, on your access to technology, and on how exposed you are to digital threats. Where you decide to build your company has never, ever been more critical.
All right, so what do you actually do with all this? Let's get to the takeaways. If you're a startup founder, listen up. 1. The money for AI is there. Go get it. 2. Build security and governance into your product from day one. It will make you stand out. 3. Focus on those hot niches, agentic AI, health tech, cybersecurity. And 4. Think very, very carefully about where you set up shop. Geography matters. And for everyone else, the takeaways are just as crucial. For all you developers out there, it is time to master these agentic AI frameworks. If you're an enterprise leader, you need to be reevaluating your supply chain and cyber risks, especially those tied to geopolitical hotspots. For investors, the smart money is on the picks and shovels of this gold rush, the AI infrastructure. And for literally everyone else working in tech, learning about AI governance and security, yeah, that's not optional anymore. So, what happens next? Well, in the short term, think the next 6 months, expect more market volatility, way more sophisticated AI cyber attacks, and for hardware prices to just keep climbing. Looking out a bit further, say 6 to 18 months, we're probably going to see the rise of the first truly autonomous companies, a big push to decentralize supply chains away from risky areas, and you better believe a tidal wave of government regulation is coming.
And all of that leaves us with one last really big question. You know, the biggest risk here isn't an AI that fails. It's the AI that succeeds beyond our wildest dreams, but without any real oversight. So I'll leave you with this thought. Are we just building more powerful tools, or are we actually building autonomous colleagues that, in the end, we might not be able to control? And that's the story from newsbite.tech. For more deep dives and to stay on top of all this, head over to the site. Thanks for tuning in.